Does your story suck? Does your screenplay suck? Is it a bad piece of work? Well, guess what? You won't know that unless and until you send it out to get coverage, possibly, or to have some people that you really trust sit down, take a look at it, read it, and give you feedback and give you notes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Floyd Marshall. I am the founder and creator of A Conversation with Podcast, where I interview people in the Hollywood and independent film space. Now, let's talk about your story. You've spent a lot of time creating your world, and this is something that you are eventually going to shoot. That's great. Congratulations on completing your screenplay. The next step in that process, if you haven't done it already, before you shoot it, do yourself a favor and have some friends, 4 or 5 friends that have the time. Make sure they have the time, because you're asking them to give you a few hours of their time. If they have the time to take a look at your script and, if possible, give you some notes on where you can improve it, be it characters, locations, things like that, dialogue that you can cut out. That's a big problem that I've seen in a lot of beginners as far as their screenplays are concerned. There is a lot of unnecessary dialogue. There are a lot of unnecessary locations, and keep this in mind. If you are the person that will be writing the checks for this film, if you don't have investors, and even if you do have investors, you want to make sure that your script is as streamlined as possible, because locations equal more shoot days. More locations equals more money. So you want to make sure that the story that you are telling is something that's feasible to your budget. Now, yes, people say right to the stars. Absolutely. But when you're looking at it from a practical business standpoint, some of the things that you put in your script may have to come out. And this is where having eyes on your script can really help, because they may be able to offer some suggestions that you could use something else other than what you've written in the script, and not necessarily taking it out, but just using a different location or whatever. So, just keep that in mind. But back to your story. Have people take a look at it. And one thing that I used to do when I was writing is I would have people that are not in the business read my script. And here's why. Because those are the people that are going to be watching your film. Yes, you want to get industry feedback, other independent filmmakers, other screenwriters and things of that ilk. But if at all possible, get a group of friends that have absolutely nothing to do with this business. They don't write, they don't do anything regarding the business, and have them sit down and read your script and give you honest feedback and an honest assessment of your story. Because those are the people, that's your audience. Those are the people that are going to ultimately watch your film. So when you're writing your story, make sure your characters are well-rounded. Make sure that they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. A lot of times when I watch independent films on certain platforms, the story devolves into a lot of gratuitous sex, gratuitous violence, women running around naked. And that's not really driving the story forward. If it's not driving your story forward, if it's not helping us to get to what will eventually be the end of the story, it really shouldn't be there, And oftentimes filmmakers, new filmmakers especially, get caught up in, well, I want to show this and I want to show that. And it's really not necessary, because, again, going back to budget, when you're putting in all of this fluff, that is adding to your budget. So again, if it is not adding to your story, if it is not moving your story forward, if it has absolutely nothing to do with where your character is going and that thing that they're looking to accomplish, it really shouldn't be there. And I'm just going to go here. One of my biggest pet peeves are these aerial drone shots that add nothing to the story. I really don't understand the allure of people putting those in the story. Yeah, it may make it look cinematic, but again, is it moving the story forward? And that should be your main goal. The beginning, the middle, and the end. What does the protagonist want? What is the antagonist trying to keep them from getting? And you flesh that out, and you make sure that you are telling the absolute best story as possible. Now, the budget will dictate certain things as far as your story is concerned, as I mentioned earlier, but you really don't want to go into it writing strictly that way, if you understand what I mean. Write the script that you want, but just keep in mind that later down the road, and especially if you have a line producer, there may be some things that they say, well, hey, we can't do this, we can't do that. But I just wanted to share that with you to make sure that your story is the absolute best story as possible. Do not be hesitant to have people read your script. Do not be hesitant to take notes or get notes. I'm sorry. But and more importantly, if you get notes, really take a look at those. And if it will help your story be that much better, implement those notes. So again, Floyd Marshall, A Conversation with Podcast, where I interview Hollywood and independent filmmakers. Subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be bringing you more phenomenal guests on the podcast. And if you haven't checked it out, check it out on the channel. You can also subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and every other streaming platform. Leave a comment if you like it, if you don't like it, what I could improve on. And make sure that you have an absolutely phenomenal weekend. Peace.